There was a business, let's name it XYZ Limited. So they wanted new customers. They started running ads and they discounted heavily. 15% discounts, okay, 10% discounts, 15% discounts, 20% discounts. Customers started buying. They were advertising on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook and Instagram thought that okay, this business want people who buy on discounts. So Instagram started showing that same ad to the people who buy on discounts. And the sales started coming in. Revenue started growing. However, profit was very low. The contribution margin was very low. So they thought, okay, fine, if our profit is right now low, we will increase it by retargeting and increase our long-term gross profit. They thought it, but they weren't aware that something big and some big trouble was coming for them. So what happened is they started retargeting. And in that retargeting, they were not using discounts. And people were not buying because the people who bought were buying on discounts previously. And then the CMO of that company thought, okay, we need to again offer discounts. So he offered about 20% of discount, again the same as the previous one. Some bought, some didn't. The CMO thought, okay, the percentage of people who were buying before in the first place are not buying in the second place. Their acquisition marketing efficiency ratio was good, but their marketing efficiency ratio isn't good. So he offered more discount. He offered 30% discount. Now in that 30% discount, people started buying. However, in the next retargeting campaign, he had to offer a 50% discount. Basically, he was losing his long-term gross profit. Not a decreasing way, and an increasing way. He thought 20% discount is a 20% compression, but it wasn't. People don't understand discounts because of these two reasons. Let me explain you more with this whiteboard. So let's understand discounts at first. If you look at discounts and let's say you have a 100 rupees or $100 product and you offer a 20% discount and you think it's a 20x or 20% compression, it's actually not. So it's not a 20% compression because if you look at your cost of making this $100 product or 100 rupees product, let's say the cost of delivery is 40. So minus 40, you get a 60. So this 60 is your gross profit. Now let's calculate after the discount. So the product that is being sold is at $80 minus 40. You basically get 40 as your profit, okay, on this. So basically 80 minus 40, you make 40. Now if you look at the actual compression, so 60 minus 40 divided by 60, you basically get a 33% compression. 20% discount is actually not a 20% compression, it's a 33% compression. So when you are advertising with discounts, Meta looks at your discount and says that people are buying on discounts. So basically he is buying on 20% discounts. So let's connect more people via look-alike audience because Meta's targeting is now basically getting automated, so you can focus more on creative after enter Meta rather than your audience. So basically look-alike audience, your other thing like advantage plus campaigns, and you get more discounts. And even if you start with an ABO campaign or a CBO campaign, you are basically using the 20% discount in all three places. So the new customers you will get are from these 20%. And basically what will happen in the long term, they will ask for more discount. So 30% discount, then you get 50% discount. Okay, so what happens in the long term, your long term gross profit actually decreases and your CAC, customer acquisition cost, actually increases. So this basically makes you lose more profit. So now that you know that discounts are not the right option for you, what is the right option? Well, what I believe is an alternative to discounts is called bundles. But before we understand bundles, you need to understand average order value. Because if you are creating bundles, you might need to increase your average order value. And how to do that, I will just tell you right now, because most people think that average order value is just about increasing prices. but it's not. And people misunderstand average order value because of these two reasons. Let me explain you with the help of the whiteboard. People actually think average order value is just increasing prices. For example, they look at their Shopify and the average order value is 110 and they increase it to 112 or 20. But this is not the right way. To understand average order value, first you need to understand the graph. If you look at the amount of orders here on the x-axis and the amount spent per unit on the y-axis, your average order value looks something like this. And so you have two peaks here. Now, this average order value that you see is here, right? But most people are buying here, let's say at 70 or here at 120. So basically what you need to do is you need to increase here or here, not here. So this is where you need to work from. Second thing is the average order value formula. So basically most people don't understand average order value. So average order value is basically average unit retail multiplied by unit per transaction, that is 1 unit, how much it's costing, how many units are there, multiplied by 1 minus discount rate, multiplied by 1 minus return rate, and plus shipping. That's how average order value is calculated. So if you want to increase your average order value, you need to increase one of these 5 things. So now you know average order value. Now you know the two misunderstanding points of the average order value. So let's talk about bundles. Bundles is basically combining two products into one so that your customer acquisition cost actually gets decreased and your contribution margin actually gets increased. I'm going to show you exactly and in a very simple way using this whiteboard. Understand bundles. To understand bundles, I will give you an example. So let's say we have two products, product A and product B. The cost of product A, the average selling price of product A is 50 and the selling price here is 30. Let's focus on this part first. So if the selling price is 50 and the COD, that is the cost of delivery, which combines of your COGS plus shipping and fulfillment plus payment fees minus return rate, that is your COD. So let's say your COD here is $30 and or 30 rupees. Then the left part, that is the gross profit, is 20. So let's say the COD here is 10 and your gross profit here will be 20. So assuming your desired profit here is 5. So your desired profit would be less. This desired profit would be your contribution margin basically. And here your desired profit is, let's say 10. So you are left with 10 here and here you are left with 15. Assuming this 10 and this 15 would be spent on CAC advertising. This is your CAC, customer acquisition cost, okay? And you are spending this on advertising. Now let's say you bundle them. So you bundle them and you sell them together. So you're in one campaign that has both of these products and you're selling them in bundles. Now you can use the customer acquisition cost of A to sell A plus B. That means when you advertise, you use the $15 to sell A and B. That means the $10 here won't be your customer acquisition cost anymore. And this basically becomes 20. So here you are left with 0. That means you are saving at least $10 or rupees in customer acquisition cost when you bundle them. Let me explain you in a clear, clean way how a bundle would look like. Example, you have product A and B in a bundle. The product A, your customer acquisition cost was 15, right? And in product B, your customer acquisition cost was 10 if you were selling them separately. Now your total CAC would be 25, right or wrong, right? But if you bundle them here, that means A, your customer acquisition cost is 15, but the customer acquisition cost of B is 0. That means your total CAC is 20 is 50. Okay, not 25. Now, where would the 10 be gone? Okay, so that $10 or 10 rupees from B, customer acquisition cost, would be in your contribution margin. Contribution margin is basically your sales minus variable expenses. In advertising terms, we say this is gross profit minus your customer acquisition cost. That is what your contribution margin is. So your contribution margin is basically increased and your CAC is getting decreased. So basically you're decreasing it by $10. That gives you 15 as your customer acquisition cost. In total, you are making $10 or 10 rupees more on your contribution margin. That is basically the profit before taxes. Simple.